The moon hung heavy and full over the dense pines surrounding the forgotten town of Greystone Hollow. The townsfolk had learned to dread the lunar cycle. Doors were barred, windows shuttered, and prayers whispered to gods long abandoned. But for Evan, the curse was no longer a mystery, it was his shadow, his tormentor. Evan had always been an outsider in Greystone Hollow, an orphan who spoke to the woods more than to people. The first change came when he was 16. A flash of silver moonlight in the river, an unbearable searing in his bones, and the awakening of something monstrous beneath his skin. His howls that night had not gone unanswered. The wolves came, but they weren't just wolves, they were like him. Their golden eyes glimmered with ancient malice, and their twisted bodies bore scars of endless battles. They called themselves the Pack of the Starless Moon, a brotherhood of cursed beasts bound by hunger. They had no pity for Evan, only expectations. Kill, feed, and join them or perish. Evan resisted. He fled Greystone Hollow, hoping to lose himself in distant lands. But no matter where he went, the curse followed. His transformations grew darker, more violent. The hunger clawed at his sanity. When he awoke after the nights of the full moon, he found blood under his nails, fragments of lives shattered, and sometimes worse memories of relishing the carnage. Years later, Evan returned to Greystone Hollow, hoping to find answers in the cryptic journals of his late father, a disgraced alchemist. What he found instead was a chilling revelation. His father had created the curse, an experiment to tame the primal fury of wolves and imbue humanity with their strength. Evan was patient zero. The pack had been waiting for him. Their leader, a monstrous elder werewolf with a mane of grayed fur and eyes like dying embers, greeted him at the edge of town. "Welcome home, pup," the elder growled. "It's time to stop running. The hunger isn't something you can escape. It's something you control or it controls you." Evan knew the truth in those words, but the elder's plans were far more sinister. The Pack of the Starless Moon was preparing for the *** Rite of Dominion ***, a ritual that would unkind their curse, spreading it like wildfire through every human soul in Greystone Hollow. Evan stood at the crossroads. Would he embrace the hunger and lead the pack into a new era of monstrosity, or would he fight them, knowing the only way to stop them might be to sacrifice himself? As the moon rose higher and his bones began to break and twist, Evan whispered to himself, *** this time, I'll decide what the hunger takes." ***, the howls that followed echoed through Greystone Hollow, leaving the town's fate shrouded in shadows and the night far from over. What do you think? Should I expand the intrigue further or add specific elements? Evan's transformation gripped him violently, more forceful than ever before. His muscles stretched, his bones snapped into grotesque shapes, and his skin burned as thick black fur erupted. The pain was unbearable, yet he clung to a single thought. Control it. Don't let it control you. The Pack of the Starless Moon gathered around, their twisted forms circling him like vultures. The elder stepped forward, towering over the others. His gnarled claws clutched a jagged shard of obsidian, its surface pulsating faintly with crimson light. "This," the elder rumbled, holding the shard high, "is the heart of the wild. With it, we will cast off these chains and claim what is ours: our hunger, our strength, our dominion over the weak." The pack howled in agreement, their voices tearing through the still night. But Evan, even in his monstrous state, felt the weight of something deeper, a flicker of human conscience buried beneath the beast. "Your dominion will destroy everyone," Evan growled, his voice guttural and barely human. "Even yourselves." The elder sneered. "You think you're different, better. You're no savior, pup. You're a monster like the rest of us. But if you'd rather die fighting, so be it." The pack lunged at him as one, a maelstrom of claws, fangs, and fury. Evan fought with a ferocity he didn't know he possessed, his instincts sharper, his movements faster than ever before. He tore through the wolves with precision, yet every strike felt like a piece of his soul splintering away. Then he saw it a chance, the heart of the wild, lying unguarded in the chaos. Its glow called to him, a maddening whisper in his mind. He grabbed the shard, its heat searing his palm even through his fur. The elder snarled in fury and lunged for him, but Evan plunged the shard into the frozen earth beneath his feet. The world trembled. A blinding crimson light erupted, and the pack's howls turned to agonized screams. The curse recoiled, as if tethered to the shard, and the wolves collapsed one by one. But Evan did not fall. Instead, he felt something ancient and malevolent crawl into his chest, a piece of the curse, now his to bear alone. When the light faded, the pack was gone. All that remained were the echoes of their howls and the cold, dead shard in the ground. Evan, still in his monstrous form, stumbled back into the shadows of the forest, clutching his chest where the shard's power now pulsed faintly within him. As he limped away, a new sound rose behind him, soft at first, then growing louder, a chorus of distant howls, unnatural and unearthly. They weren't coming from the pack. In the eerie glow of the moonlight, Evan turned to face the forest, his golden eyes narrowing. Whatever he had awakened, it wasn't finished with him. And deep in the heart of Greystone Hollow, the villagers whispered to one another as shadows flickered across their walls. Asterisk, asterisk, the hunger hadn't been vanquished, it had only just begun. Asterisk, asterisk, should the next part delve into the nature of the new threat, or Evan struggle with the power within him? Evan staggered through the forest, each step heavier than the last. The shard's lingering power pulsed within him, filling his veins with a searing heat that threatened to consume him. His monstrous form began to wane, fur retracting, claws dulling. By the time he collapsed near a cluster of gnarled roots, he was human again, or as close to human as his curse allowed. But the howls hadn't stopped. They echoed from every direction, rising in an unnatural harmony. Evan's instinct screamed that this was no ordinary pack, it was something older, something deeper tied to the curse. His father's journals had hinted at asterisk, asterisk, the rooted ones. Asterisk, asterisk, a mythical force said to guard the source of the werewolf plague. They were not bound by flesh and bone, but by the very essence of the curse itself. The shadows of the forest grew alive. Shapes emerged, half-formed and writhing, their eyes glowing like embers in the night. They resembled wolves but moved like smoke, their bodies twisting and reforming with every step. "You've done what no one else dared," a voice rumbled from the darkness. It wasn't one voice but many, layered and dissonant. One of the shadowy creatures stepped forward, larger than the rest, its form dripping with dark energy. "You bear the shard's power now. It binds you to the hunger, but it also binds you to us." Evan struggled to his feet, his breath ragged. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't want any of this." The shadow wolf snarled, its grin stretching unnaturally wide. "You think the curse cares about your desires? You've tampered with what should never be touched." The shard was a seal, a piece of the prison we built to hold back the tide, and now you've shattered it. Evan's heart sank. The pack, the right of dominion. They were fools. They sought to rule the curse, but they were nothing more than pawns. The shadow wolf circled him, its smoky tendrils brushing against his skin. "Now the seal is broken, and the curse is no longer contained. It will spread, devouring all in its path. And you, bearer of the shard, will be its beacon." The words hit him like a blow. There has to be a way to stop it. The creature's grin widened. "Perhaps, but it will cost more than you can imagine." The shadows receded, their forms dissolving into the night. Only the largest lingered, its fiery eyes fixed on Evan. "Run while you can, shard-bearer. The rooted ones awaken, and they will come for you. When they do, you'll have a choice. Wield the hunger as a weapon, or be consumed by it." The creature vanished, leaving Evan alone in the suffocating silence of the forest. He knew he couldn't stay in Greystone Hollow. The hunger within him was growing stronger, more feral. If he remained, he'd only endanger the people he once called neighbors. But the thought of leaving wasn't just about survival anymore. The shard's power was a curse, yes, but perhaps it was also a key, a chance to end this nightmare once and for all. As he stepped out of the forest and into the pale light of dawn, he turned back one last time. The forest seemed to watch him, the trees themselves whispering promises of vengeance and darkness. Asterisk, asterisk, the rooted ones were coming. Asterisk, asterisk, but so was he. Should the next chapter explore Evan's journey to learn about the shard's powers? Or should it focus on the arrival of the rooted ones in Greystone Hollow? Evan's journey to escape Greystone Hollow was fraught with torment. The shard's power twisted within him, warping his thoughts and eroding his sense of self. Each step felt like dragging an anchor of despair. Yet he pressed on, driven by a flicker of hope that somewhere, somehow, he could find a way to end the curse. But hope is a fragile thing. The forest seemed endless, its shadows growing deeper and colder as the sun dipped below the horizon. The howls of the rooted ones grew closer, surrounding him like a predator circling its prey. Evan's chest heaved as he stumbled into a clearing, a circle of ancient stones carved with runes that pulsed faintly in the moonlight. He collapsed to his knees, the shard burning hot against his chest. The power inside him clawed at his soul, demanding release. "You've run far enough," came the voice. Evan turned to see the largest of the shadow wolves emerging from the trees, its form towering and monstrous, eyes blazing with ancient fury. Behind it, the rest of the rooted ones crept closer, their smoky bodies flickering like dying flames. "You thought you could outrun the hunger, shard bearer." The creature's voice rumbled like an earthquake. "You were wrong." Evan clutched the shard, its pulsing rhythm matching the frantic beat of his heart. "I didn't choose this," he hissed, his voice breaking. "I didn't ask for any of it." The shadow wolf snarled, its grin stretching impossibly wide. "And yet it chose you. The shard was never a gift, it was a seed. And now, it blooms." Pain exploded in Evan's chest as the shard's power surged. He screamed as his body twisted and contorted, far beyond the transformations he had known before. His bones cracked and reformed, his flesh tearing and mending in grotesque ways. The hunger consumed him entirely, erasing the last fragments of his humanity. When the pain subsided, Evan was no longer himself. He towered above the clearing, a monstrous amalgamation of fur, shadow, and the pulsing red light of the shard. His golden eyes were gone, replaced by twin orbs of crimson fire. The rooted ones bowed their heads. "The curse has found its true vessel," the leader intoned. "The hunger eternal." Evan, or what was left of him, let out a howl that shattered the stillness of the night. It wasn't just a sound, it was a force. A wave of raw hunger that swept through the forest and beyond. The trees withered, the earth cracked, and the sky seemed to bleed. In Greystone Hollow, the villagers felt it immediately. Doors burst open, windows shattered, and the people fell to their knees, clutching their chests as the hunger tore through them. One by one, they transformed, their screams turning into feral howls that echoed across the land. The curse spread like wildfire, unstoppable and unrelenting. And at the center of it all stood Evan, no longer a man, no longer a wolf, but something far worse. His howls carried across the dying world, a herald of the eternal night to come. The end.